morning, Yankee fans. This is the Pinstripe Chronicles with some good news for you. Juan Soto, back to back wins for the Yanks on walk-offs, and the Yanks are starting to get hot at the right time. So I want to say a big salute to everyone in the chat already. Looks like there's some excitement in the chat. We've got Yankee legend Bernie Williams in the chat. We got Medina. We got Sean Browning. We got Ken. What up, Ken? We got Medina. Salute, Ken. We got Stevie B. Salute to you. Salute to Jonathan. Everyone seems to be pretty excited. Yankees getting hot at the right time. And Uncle Tats is in Disney World. So he's going to have some fun and a well-needed break. So we will be taking the reins for a little while. And beside me, I've got my co-host, the man, Robinho. What is up, Robinho? How do you feel after Juan Soto yesterday?
Feel good. This team's clicking right now in ways that get them W's. The offense still isn't perfect. It hasn't been easy scoring these runs, but a win is a win. And the fact that we have won 2 games in extra innings when the Yankees really struggle in extra innings is a good sign. So I'll take a win any which way I can get it. They've got to keep winning. They've got to find a way just to stay ahead of the Baltimore Orioles at all costs. I think we are now 2 full games above them, so keep that lead growing any which way you can do it. Try to get this division over with before we even play them would be great. I don't know if that's actually possible, but hey, let's just keep winning ball games. Last night was fun. It was a thrilling victory. Juan Soto deserves every single penny he asked for. They better keep this guy for the rest of his career. And man, oh man, we were talking about it before we went live. This bullpen, aside from one guy, but this pitching staff has been really good. And it's been fun to watch because just about like a week and a half ago, we were very concerned, but a lot of guys have stepped up since they shuffled up the alignment in the bullpen, and we've got some guys back. Ian Hamilton looked really good last night. Weaver's been outstanding in those late inning roles. So, man, I think if we're going to, obviously we'll get to the series about with Kansas City and the awards and all that, but if we're talking just like over the recent stretch, since they've aligned that bullpen, I've got a completely different feeling about this bullpen. They seem locked in.
Oh, yeah, this is a different bullpen. Finally. I mean, it's not like we didn't already know this. Clay Holmes is not the closer. And they had lied to us for an entire, almost a couple of years now, that he could close. He can't close. Never should have closed. Now that they've realigned it, we're starting to win games. Crazy. Crazy. Who would have thought? Not us, huh? Give me a break. Give me a break. So, anyway, everybody hit the like button. That's a start, right? We got almost 20 people in the chat just to start with, right? We're only 3 minutes in. That's going to build. It's going to double in the next couple minutes. So, how about we hit that like button for my boy Rubinho and for me, right? For me! Come on! So, hit that like button. I think we should change things up a little bit because we've not done this before. Let's change things up a little bit. I think we should go with the awards early, get that out of the way, and then we could talk about the Boston Red Sox because we need to get down and dirty talking about this series about the filthy Red Sox. So how about we start with the series because we have not actually discussed with Robinho about this series because he was out off the last episode. So Rob, before we get into the awards, tell me your breakdown of the Royals series. 2 out of 3.
Yeah, the last game was an exciting walk-off win, the first of our back-to-back. The second game we got shut out. I think we had, 2 or so hits or something like that. The entire offense did not show up. And the first game was an absolute rout. So kind of a perfect example of what the Yankees have been this year is up and down. And still, I don't know what they are. And that series is kind of a perfect example of it. And it, again, I said this a couple of weeks ago. I don't think they care when they're playing the lesser teams because the record against the playoff teams shows. The only team that we don't have a 500 or better record against that's currently in the playoffs is Baltimore. And we're one good closer away from that being a 500 record against them. The Yankees have a very good track record against these playoff teams this season. Kansas City, anyone in the Central, really, we've beaten them up. We're fine against Baltimore, and we've kicked the crap out of Houston this year. Now, I'm not saying that automatically means we're going to be good against them in the playoffs, but that's why I'm thinking like the Yankees just don't care if they struggle against the bad teams because when they're getting to these playoff contenders, they're showing up more often than not. So it's very strange how they play, how they kind of play down to competition but play up to the better teams. And yeah, and they can remedy that, Sean, you're absolutely right. They can remedy that very soon if we get to October and we start beating up these teams again. So beating Kansas City 2 out of 3 is huge because that's a really good team. They came up, had a good offseason, made some really good under the radar signings, and man, I'm excited to watch them play. But they're tough. They are very tough, and I like their team top to bottom. It's a good roster, so I'm very happy to come away with the Series W.
I love their team. Really enjoy watching them, actually, to be honest. So even when we got completely shut down by Lugo, I didn't really blame the Yankees. I think that was one of the best pitched games by an opponent against the Yankees in a long, long time. And as good as I can remember in a couple of years, it was one of the best outings. He just completely shut us down. It wasn't the case where the Yankees were just missing bad pitches, which has been the case a lot this year. With Lugo, he was just dominant, and you just have to tip your cap on some occasions, you know. So that's what I felt. The fact that we got 2 out of 3 was actually a surprise. I didn't actually think we would do it because it was looking dicey there in the rubber game, but we came out on top, and things are starting to move in the right direction. So, with that in mind, everybody get your pens and pencils ready, and let's start with Donald's Award. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Hit that like button. Let's start with the MVP. Robinho, give me your MVP for this series.
I had to flip a coin, and it was between Glaber Torres and Austin Wells, and it landed on Austin Wells. I thought it could have gone either way. They both had really good series. I want to talk about Glaber later in the show because he's been outstanding lately. But I'm giving this to Austin Wells. That first game, he was electric, and even in the third game, I think it was, he came in and got a pinch hit job, got an RBI. So I'm giving it to Austin Wells.
Absolutely. The MVP, without question, for me, is Austin Wells. This man was amazing. He was the reason why we won game one. He was the basically the only offense that we really largely had until Juan Soto hit that home run in game three. The only offense we actually had was Austin Wells. So when Tat said the other day that Wells caught a terrible game the other day, and I'm like, what? What is going on? This guy was amazing. So Austin Wells for me was the MVP. Uh, there was no question about it. He was the reason why they won game one, and he's one of the he's kind of like the heart and soul of this team now, along with Jazz Chisholm in terms of the energy that they provide. We know all about how hard he's worked behind the plate to become one of the best defensive catchers in the game, which he is now. If you look at the metrics, it's all very much in his favor. He's one of the better defensive catchers in the game, and now when you provide the offense, which is actually now looking at rookie of the year level, big shout out to Austin Wells. Do you think he's going to get rookie of the year, Rob?
Probably not. I think they're gonna lean towards. I think it's Cowser that has the edge on him because he's played more games. But if this keeps up for the next 17 games or whatever it is now, it's possible. I wouldn't say it's impossible. I think it'd be a pretty damn good story if he does take that award because remember he was platoon for the first half of the season and he was getting off to a rough start, unlucky, but it wasn't the best of starts for him. There was talk from fans, should they send him down and call up Narvaez? Should they go with Ramirez before we traded him away? But now what he's been doing is phenomenal, and if they don't play him every single game in the postseason, I'm gonna flip my shit.
Well, to be honest, man, look for Trevino to be the personal catcher for Garrett Cole. That's what I think. But that's because I know the Yankees inside out, and I know them better than they know themselves. But Austin Wells should be playing every day, and I
But
really
hasn't Wells? I'm sorry to cut you off, but hasn't Wells been catching Cole? Like he caught Cole's last start, right, in Chicago.
he has been catching him and catching him very well, but they have kind of mixed it around. A lot of the time, Trevino's caught Cole, and so I don't know who the personal catcher is, but they will have a personal catcher for Trevino for sure. Trevino will be a personal catcher for someone. I can almost guarantee it. But let's not get sidetracked. Let's get to the low key MVP. Rob, who is your low key?
This one I'm going with Glaber. I said I want to get to some numbers on him, and I'll break that down after the awards. But Glaber's been great, and he had another really good series. So I want to give him some credit, give him a shout out because Joan brought it up. He's kind of earned back the qualifying offer. I can't disagree with that right now. The way he's been playing, he's been arguably our best hitter in the second half of the season. And that's not even an exaggeration. Like he's been really freaking good since moving to the leadoff spot. I don't know if he's found something in his swing, but man, he's been great. And I hope it keeps up for the rest of the season. If this is his last hurrah for us in a Yankee uniform, it's been a damn good one so far.
His numbers are crazy since moved to leadoff. He's batting over 300 for the last how many games?
It's like at least over 20. I think it's like 20, maybe closer to 30. It's been. I don't
Yeah,
think he was post All Star break immediately, but I know since going to that leadoff spot, he's like a 313 hitter. Like that's impressive. And his weighted runs created plus is a 140, so he's 40 points above average there.
that's wild. What a turnaround! Because you know it was looking like one of the worst um, contract years in the history of the game at one point, but now he's really turned it around. So I do think that I wonder if benching him actually did actually do some good work because he's turned it around since getting benched. He's been a lot more focused. He's been playing better, even better defensively as well. He's made most plays. He's still not amazing defensively. He still makes some dumb mistakes, but in general, he's been a lot better lately. He's been a lot more focused. So I do think that he deserves a lot of credit. So we can see what the chat has got to say. Who have you got as the low key? We've got Frederick Glaber, comeback award. What else we got here? So it looks like there's a couple of votes for Glaber. Yeah, Fred Gill says Glaber. Um, Stevie B says Glaber. So yeah, looks like low key is going to go to Glaber. MVP is going to go to Wells. My low key, I have to give it to Salvador Perez. There's not a doubt. I mean, his series was ridiculous. He had 7 hits, 4 for 4 on in the first game, 2 for 3 the next game, 1 for 2 the next one. He had 6 RBIs. He was amazing, and he also made a great play at first to throw out Volpe. Although Volpe, again, terrible base running, but we'll get into Anthony Volpe. But it was a heck of a play, and Salvador Perez was remarkable. And the way that he played, tell you what, if the Yankees face them in the playoffs, he's going to be a problem. He's going to be a problem with a capital P. Um, I don't think I would be doing my job if I didn't give Perez credit with the series that he had there against the Yankees. So he gets the low key for me. Let's go with the clutch award. Let's go with the clutch award. Rob, who is your clutch award?
It's got to be Juan Soto. Guy almost broke his foot and then hits a home run. My heart dropped and I was ready to pull the plug for the rest of the season if that guy was going to miss extended time. That's how bad it looked. The same at bat, he hits a home run that energizes the stadium, and next thing you know, the Yankees get a walk off win. Juan Soto, it could be Jazz as well. I agree with Raziel and Stevie B, but NCT, a lot of people are saying Jazz, but without that Soto home run, that Jazz moment doesn't happen. So I'm giving it, on 1 foot. I'm giving it to Soto. Not taking anything away from Jazz, but that Soto home run was electric.
Yeah, it's a tough one between Jazz. You could also say Wells as well because he was clutch in the first game, but it's really between Jazz and Soto. I think it has to be Soto. Um, just to from one pitch to the next, one pitch it looked like he was in a bit of trouble. He was on one foot, and I was like, oh no, like he didn't look good. He did not look good. It was it looked like he hit the ball against his ankle, and I was like, oh my god, what that cannot be good. This was just pure bone. So when he was rolling around on the ground, I was like, "That's it. We're fucked. We're cooked. Goodbye. It's been nice to know you." And he stands up like a heavyweight boxer. He gets back up, dusts himself down. Next pitch, bang into the frickin' stratosphere. That is balls, man. That is balls. One frickin' foot. A an absolute titan of a home run. That's what Soto's all about, man. There's no one like him, and I think he's probably like in terms of like all of baseball. I think in terms of like these freaking heavyweight boxer home runs, you know what I mean? Where it's just like pure theater. Soto's got that down. No one does pure theater like Juan Soto's home runs. Just like, for instance, the home run against the Giants. So yeah, I think he's the clutch award winner because to be honest, it was looking like the Yankees were going to get shut out or the Yankees were just done. It was like another boring game, and then Soto saved the day. So we wouldn't have even gone to Jazz's spot had he not come up huge in that situation. The Yankees would have lost had Soto not hit that home run. Like make no bones about it. That's why he was the clutch award winner. Let's get to the pitching award. There's a lot of good pitching. A lot. Let's go with Rob to break it down for us.
Yeah, it was tough to pick one because I think the starting pitching in general was pretty solid. Rodon was okay. He did give us six, gave up a few runs. Stroman wasn't the best, but he wasn't terrible. But I'm going with Luis Heel. That's two starts now coming off the IL that he's looked really good. And he under 100 pitches, 5 innings, gave up just the 1 run, kept us in that game. 5 strikeouts, only 2 walks, and his command has been a lot better since coming back. And once again, killing those stupid ideas of putting him in the closer role. So I like the way he's pitching. Once again, I think that IL stint is exactly what he needed. So far, so good. 2 starts off, he's looked phenomenal. I'm going to give him another pitching award. I think he's gotten the most. If we're going to compile these at the end of the season, I think Luis Seal might be running away with it.
I agree with that. And yes, we will. I've been thinking about that. I think we should definitely compile the awards and have an end of season awards, and it's going to be epic. Everyone in the chat, if you guys agree, if that's what we should do, then we will freaking do that for you guys. Give it back to our fans. I think that'll be a fun show to really compile the awards because there's been a lot of awards to this point. But I agree. I think Luis Gil is a good shout. But give me Weaver. I think Weaver is
It's a
the
great
other one
choice.
because he's kind of saved the Yankees in many ways because we were uh, we were really staring down the barrel here. Our closer situation was dire. We didn't have a closer. You can't win anything without a closer. You can't get anywhere without a closer. And Weaver has come in and he has been basically perfect. He doesn't give up any runs. He's been excellent and clutch as hell too. Clutch as hell. A couple of big moments there. He's just making huge pitches, and you see the energy. I think there was one where he had the bases loaded and struck the guy out, and he was just pure energy. And I'm like, that's my closer. That is my closer. I've been waiting this long for someone with a little bit of balls, like in a tough spot that can make the big pitch. I haven't seen that from Clay Holmes in years. So I think Luke Weaver is the one there. The Sean says here the force is strong with Luke Weaver. It is. Dude's got some balls. I like to see that. I think in the closer spot, you need to have someone that has a bit of moxie, and it looks like Luke Weaver has that. So for me, he gets that award. Let's go with the Aaron Boone out of 10. Let's start with Rob to break it down for us.
We won the series. I can't put anything really on him for that second game. Nobody hit. However, I'm going to dock him a point for the Jason Dominguez benching in the third game. You're going to tell us he's going to play every day, and then he plays 2 games and he gets sat down. You just can't help yourself to put Alex Verdugo back in that lineup.
Trying to help himself.
So he's getting a 7. Even with the series win, I'm not giving him a 10 anymore. I was going to give him an 8, and then he benched Dominguez. It doesn't make sense to me. He's not going to hit that 95 at bat mark. So what are you doing? Play him every day. I'm giving him. I should probably give him a 6 for that, but I'm going to give him a 7 because we did get the series win, and his pitching decisions outside of the Clay Holmes move was fine. So I'm going to give him a 7.
I'm gonna give him a 4. I actually thought that Game 3 was a masterclass on how not to manage. I thought that he managed that game horribly. It starts with obviously benching Dominguez. I mean, if you're gonna tell us all that there's not a lane for Dominguez until you can promise to play him every day, and then just 3 days into his promotion that he gets benched, um, it's actually crazy to me. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like that's is wild, absolutely wild. And he had a ton of decisions in Game 3, and it started with Clay Holmes. Um, Putting Clay Holmes in that spot where Juan Soto hits that home run, the momentum is back in our favor, and then he's like, I have to piss you guys off. I'm sorry. It's too tantalizing for me. I've got to fuck you guys up. So that's what he did. Puts in Clay Holmes, bish bash bosh, tie game. Mark Leiter, what the hell are you doing? Like his pitching calls are embarrassing, man. He's such a bad bullpen manager. And one day he's going to get held accountable. One day. It might not be tonight, might not be tomorrow, might not be next year, but eventually he will be held accountable for his horrible, horrible bullpen moves. Because they are horrible. And I'm tired of it. And it's costing us games. And we're very, very fortunate that our talent overcomes him. Because Jazz overcame Aaron Boone there. Juan Soto overcame Aaron Boone. Luke Weavers overcame Aaron Boone because we've had to. Because Aaron Boone has managed so badly. Basically since the All-Star break. And it's not that I'm hating on the guy. Okay, I admit. I think that he's probably the worst in-game manager that I've ever seen. But anyone who's new to this channel, I can absolutely promise you, me and Rob and Tats, for the first half of this season, basically we're giving him 9s and 10s right across the board. We were, because we didn't see any reason not to. Like, he was doing his job. But as almost annually now, since whenever we have a decent run, and then we get to the All-Star break, I don't know whether Brian Cashman's in his year. I don't know whether the laptop Warriors are in his year. I don't know what happens, or just Aaron Boone becomes complacent, or Aaron Boone loses his mind. But he always falls apart second half of the year, and it's an annual thing now because the team starts to collapse, and then he starts to collapse, and his moves are ridiculous. Luckily, the Yankees are starting to turn it around, but a lot of it is no thanks to Boone, I have to be honest. So I think we got a little lucky there. We did. We got a little lucky because when he put in Clay Holmes, I was like, forget it. It's another loss, you absolute moron. But thanks to Jazz Chisholm, it worked out fine. But yeah, that's my opinion. I give him a 4 out of 10. Let's get to the what is the next award? Is it the L? Isn't it?
Yeah, the L.
Yeah, it's the L. Let's get to the L. Rob.
Well, his last name starts with an L. Mark Leiter. So
He's so bad.
he's been terrible. It doesn't matter what role they use him in. I mean, his first game with us, he looked great. You're like, wow, he just came off the plane. He's pitching in a big spot and he's getting us out of it. And since then, he's been arguably the worst pitcher in baseball. At least bullpen pitcher. He's been terrible, and I just can't see any scenario where this guy's pitching a big moment for us in October. Because if he does, I might jump off a building because this guy's terrible. He can't pitch in a big spot, no matter what it is. The guy with the Yankees has an ERA now of 5.74, so it's a point and a half higher than what it was with the Cubs, and he wasn't that good with the Cubs. So yeah, Sean, the pinstripes are heavy for him, and he wore pinstripes in Chicago. So it's just like he knows what they feel like. I don't know. It's crazy. He's been terrible. But I don't know if there's anyone they're going to call up over him. Yes, Jared, you heard me correct. A 5.74 ERA as a Yankee. He has been absolutely horrific. He does have 22 strikeouts, but a 1.85 whip. It was a 1.1 in Chicago. So everything's up. He's been awful, and he's even got a blown save. I can't justify using him out of this bullpen. He and Clay Holmes are the weak links right now in what's been an otherwise decent bullpen.
It's unreal. And to piggyback off Rob, I'm also giving him the L. To go a little further, his last 15 games, he's got a 6.14 ERA. His last 7 games, he's got a 6.14 ERA. His last 7 games, 1-1, 6.14 ERA, 7 games, 7 innings pitched, 9 hits, 5 runs, a whip of 150. So he's putting almost 2 people on base every single time he turns up for the Yankees, and it's absolutely spectacular that he still actually gets run. Like, I mean, listen, Efros was bad, right? But there is no world which he's worse than Mark Leiter. There's no world. And that's what I'm talking about with Brian Cashman's ego. Because he made that deal, Mark Leiter's getting a hell of a lot of rope. And he's getting a hell of a lot more rope than, say, anybody else in a similar spot, because he has been worse than you name it. A 6 ERA? Are you kidding me? Over his last 15 appearances? That's embarrassing. He shouldn't be anywhere near Major League mound, especially for the Yankees. I mean, name Efros, Marinaccio, they sucked, right? But they're not worse than Mark Leiter Jr. I can promise you that. But Brian Cashman's ego will not allow him to realize that this guy is a problem. He's a kill in this bullpen. And it doesn't look good on Cashman, because a lot of his moves lately have been horrible, absolute burning dumpster fires. So this was another one. Mark Leiter Jr. gets the L. Let's go with my favorite award, the Aaron Hicks Award, for the worst of the worst of the worst. Let's ask Rob to break it down.
This was actually kind of difficult to find. Um, I just gave the L to Leiter. I'm going to give this one to Clay Holmes again. He just can't help himself. It doesn't matter what inning he's in, 7th inning, 9th inning, 8th inning, 6th, could be the first. He'll find a way to give you agita. He'll find a way to give you a headache. He'll find a way to have you calling your doctor or going on Google and checking out your symptoms, because you're going to have something wrong with you after a Clay Holmes inning. They got to find their bullpen hierarchy when it comes to October, and he can't be a part of it. That much I do know. The guy's terrible. No matter what inning, no matter what role, and Aaron Boone keeps fluffing him up no matter what. He'll look great one day, and then for the next 3 outings, he's the worst pitcher you've ever seen. Every time he takes the mound, check your heart rate, because he's going to have you checking into a hospital.
Oh, he's unbearable. He's absolutely unbearable. Um, Debating between Anthony Volpe, who had a horrible series, and Clay Holmes, I have to agree with Rob. It looks like we're going to have the same awards, basically, but Rob's right. Clay Holmes. is the worst of the worst of the worst. There's no doubt about it. So even when you get moved off the closer role and you get put into a lower leverage situation, he still finds a way to fuck it up. It takes a gift. It's a gift to be that bad at your job. And that's what Clay Holmes is. He is an atrocity. And I really hope we don't extend him at the end of this year. I don't trust Brian Cashman, though. Brian Cashman will probably give him like a 10-year extension or some shit. But because I know him because he's extended Aroldis Chapman. Remember that? So he's more than he's extended Aaron Hicks for Christ's sake for 10 years just to piss me off personally. So he's more than capable of doing it. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does try to find a way of doing it. But he is so freaking bad. Let's just hope that if the Yankees are to do anything in October, he is nowhere near a ninth inning or an eighth inning. Keep him in the seventh inning. I don't want to see him anywhere near these high leverage situations because he will blow it. So the worst of the worst of the worst is Clay Holmes because we continue to have to do gymnastics around this bullpen to try and find a way for him not to fuck us up. So that's why he is the worst of the worst of the worst. So that is my awards. Let's break down this Red Sox series coming up, man. We've obviously had one very very fun game. Rob, what was your thoughts on Game 1?
Boring up until that final inning. We had the Glaber home run and then nothing. Just literally nothing. Nestor looked great. I'll say that much. Bullpen looked good. Even Holmes had a couple of good outs. And then we got the walk-off hit. It was a very boring game up until that walk-off hit. But hey, like I said at the beginning of the show, win's a win. Get them however you can. And John Birdie as a pinch runner has been it's been fantastic. I think we found his role when it comes to him in October, and he's just coming in late in the ball game to score. That's basically it. And tonight's an Apple TV game. Great, awesome. Guess I won't be watching it.
Do you not have Apple TV anymore?
Oh no, I canceled it after that game. It took me like 30 minutes to figure out how to do
We
that.
should do a play-by-play. Um, because we do like to provide our fans a different alternative to the Apple TV broadcaster because they are so freaking bad. But yeah, listen, I think we should talk about Nestor Cortez' approach yesterday. Very impressed with it because the Red Sox strike out a lot on fastballs. They're a team that strike out a lot on fastballs. And guess what Nestor Cortez focused on in his this start yesterday? Fastballs. And he was striking them out on fastballs. So I think that was smart. I think obviously that was a way in which the analytics actually were used in the right way. And Cortez delivered, man. I think he pitched great. Again, he shows a lot of moxie. He showed a lot of moxie, and he did yesterday. Rob?
Yeah, he had what 9 strikeouts. So he had 14 as a staff in total.
Mm-hmm.
Much different than what we were doing against him last time, where he was, what they were running crazy on us. So, hey, it's a great point because if you can keep them off the bases, they're not going to be able to steal, and their biggest weapon is their speed. They've got a couple of boppers in that lineup, but overall, they're going to beat you with the speed, as we've seen. But Nestor didn't allow that. He did give up a few walks, but only the 3 hits. 1 earned run, and when he got himself into a little bit of trouble, he got right out of it with a couple of big strikeouts. So to only go 5, but to get you 9 strikeouts, that's big. And Nestor continues to, at least his last couple of outings, he's backed up his talk a little bit. He was not too happy about having to come out of the bullpen, but he did his job, did it great. And his first start back in the rotation, he looked perfectly fine. I don't have any complaints about it. So whether people like it or not, he has been probably our most consistent starter in terms of length, and his ERA is below 4 now, so very respectable numbers from a guy that's your number 5 starter, potentially out of the rotation next year altogether. I mean, Nestor Cortez, I want to give him some credit because there are times where he's looked awful, and there are times where he's looked great, like last night. So last night he was great.
Ken Cortez, props for shutting down Devers. That is an excellent point because Devers has been basically the new Big Pappy and Manny Ramirez. He has been the Yankee killer. He has the most home runs in an opponent stadium, a Yankee stadium. He absolutely kills us at Yankee Stadium, and we completely shut him down. What approach did you see in which we managed to find a way to shut down our biggest Yankee killer?
Just don't let him hit it. That's really it. Just make sure the guy doesn't hit it because even Garrett Cole, I don't know if you saw, but like the other day they asked him what Latin player has given him the most trouble, and he immediately, without even letting them finish the question, just said Rafael Devers.
Oh yeah,
Garrett Cole knows this guy kicks our ass. He is the new Big Poppy against us. As Ken just said, 16 home runs in Yankee Stadium alone. It's unbelievable. It's ridiculous. We can't get this guy out. But last night we got him out. And we got him out in some big spots. So whatever it takes, right, Ken, fastballs up and in and away. Just don't let him hit it. Blow it by
facts,
him. Just
facts,
blow it by the
facts,
dude. And that's how
facts.
you beat the biggest threat in their lineup. And they kept him at bay. 3 strikeouts. I'll take that. Sign me up. 0 for 4 with 3 Ks. Hat trick. Give me that every single time we face him. It won't be the case because more than likely he'll tag us at least once or twice in this series. But last night was a hell of a way to keep him at bay.
I was so impressed, so impressed in our approach against him, man. He he's an absolute machine, especially fastballs middle high. He's a machine. His slug is crazy, right in his wheelhouse, which is basically middle high, uh, and waist high inside. He kills those pitches too. We stayed away from that. Focus on fastballs away or pitches away, off speed away. Nestor Cortez is an excellent changeup that he's been working on this year. Um, and that's something which has changed from Nestor's normal and lexicon. Normally he goes with like cutters and things like that. He's moved away from the cutter and he's working on changeup more lately, and the changeup has helped him get out. It's good pitch tunneling, and that changeup has been really good. And I think that's partly why he's been keeping guys off balance and he's been delivering some really, really good outings. What would you say to that, Rob?
No, I think you're right. I got thrown off. I hope my dad's being sarcastic here because I'm about to take away his wrench for that. No, his development, and I think Ken brings up a good point. He's mad. He's pitching angry. His last few starts, he's looked pissed off because I think he's kind of hearing the rumblings. His name's been in the trade conversations the last few years. They took him out of the rotation for a turn, and he's not happy about it. But he's pitching angry, and the fact that he's mixing in different pitches now and not just leaving a flat cutter up and in and getting
Yep.
tagged on it, I think that's a great approach to change things up. And there it is with the changeup. So it's a very simple thing to do, right? You say, oh, just try to mix things up a little bit, and that's what he's doing, and it's working. And it's worked a lot because he's dropped his ERA significantly over his last few outings. It was approaching like the upper fours, and now he's got it below 4 again. So again, you talk about league average ERA, which is a little bit above 4, I believe. He's below average when it comes to that. He's been fine. And
Yeah.
Angry Nestor equals ace. I wouldn't go that far, Stevie B, but Angry Nestor might be the way to go right now. He's looking fantastic.
Now, in terms of approach for Rafael Devers, according to the Baseball Savant page, um, it's really important to focus on pitches outside with him. So if you look at his X slug, right, he's got an X slug of 800 on pitches high and inside, right? But his got an X slug of 157 on pitches outside the zone, high and outside. That is where you should target. 319 slug low and inside, and he's got a slug in the 600s right in that wheelhouse, waist high, middle in. That's where he does a lot of his damage. So there's only two real areas in which he's quite weak, and that's low and inside, and high and outside. Those are kind of the two areas in which you can really do some damage there. And it looks like that's what the Yankees targeted, and they need to be smart in terms of continuing to target that. Don't leave any pitches in this area here because he's going to absolutely smash it. Keep it on the outside of
Yep.
the plate, low and outside, and he's not as effective. Even low and inside, he's not as effective. And that's what we saw yesterday. So really, Nestor did such a great job. Devers is the one guy that terrifies me on this Boston team.
Yeah. And I was gonna say if you get him to chase altogether because he's like 14th percentile, I believe, in chase percentage.
Right.
So I'm sorry, in whiff percentage. In chase percentage, he's 32nd percentile. So get him to chase, and that's what the Yankees weren't doing, or that's what Garrett Cole hasn't really been able to do against him. But that's what the Yankees did last night, and Nestor specifically. And yeah, this lineup is it doesn't have. I mean, Duran's good. Devers is obviously great. Yoshida's a good player, but none of them really strike like fear into you the way Devers
Yeah.
does. Like
I do
back,
like Raphael. I like Raphael. He's a good contact hitter.
yeah, he's annoying, and they have a lot of annoying players. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Like none of them are gonna like. You're not gonna look at this lineup and go, "Wow, that's the best lineup in baseball." But it's got the potential to be a very solid group because they have a lot of annoying, pesky players, a
Yeah.
lot of
And
fast guys.
one of them's an ex Yankee outfielder.
Which one, Ref Snyder?
Yeah. He always he's kind of those little pesky guy as well, man. I quite like Rev Snyder. I liked him as a Yankee. I think he's done quite well in Boston.
He's been great. Last year, what did he have? 682. The year before was an 881. This year, he's got an
Wow.
833 OPS in 92 games. 11
There he is.
homers,
I
40
always thought
ribbies.
he was a good hitter, man. I think he just needed a good opportunity because the Yankees never gave him an opportunity. Shock. Where did I hear that one before? So yeah, he's a good player. He's a good player. He's done really well over there in Boston. I like him. I love Yoshida. That was somebody that I really wanted the Yankees to target, and the Red Sox have done well to acquire him. This is a really good Red Sox team. How far away in the wild card? They still have an outside shot, right? They're a game above 500, right?
They do. They are actually in fifth. They're 4.5 back of Minnesota. They're one back of Detroit. Actually, Detroit's been on fire, and they're 3.5 back. So it's really the Central that's running the show in the wild card right now because you got two teams in it, and you got Detroit on the outside looking in. But Boston's still very much alive, as is Seattle.
Wow. Well, Seattle's got the pitching.
They
We like
don't have
Seattle.
the offense,
They have nothing on offense.
which is
Uh,
crazy because they have Julio, they got a Rosarena.
J
The hell,
Rod's really had a step down, though, man. He is not what people expected. Like, you expected him this year to really take off. He hasn't done that.
which is it goes into my like we can segue this into the Volpe conversation that you can't evaluate players off of 2 seasons because for two
Great
years
point.
J Rod was one of the league's best players. After his first year, look at the contract he got. Nuts. Now, if you look around on Mariners like Twitter and all that, a lot of people are angry with this guy, and I still think he's very good. His numbers are better than Volpe's this year, but he's got a significant drop off from his last 2 seasons. So you got to be patient because you never know when that slump could come. Could be a sophomore slump, it could be a junior year slump. This is only his third year, but I don't think people are going to say, "Wow, 3 years into his career, this dude's a bust." No, not at all. But he's had a rough season compared to his last two. But I think he's going to be just fine. But yeah, Seattle, their big bats have not been big for them, and he's one of them.
His numbers are actually only a little bit better than Volpe's. 685 OPS, 14 homers, 49, 250 batting average. Same batting average roundabout in Volpe, and an OPS only a little bit better than Volpe's. 14 homers, 49 is very, I mean, again, just a little bit better than Volpe, but I mean, Rodriguez is meant to be massively better than a lot of people in the league. So he's had such a step down. And that is such a great point. That's the thing about baseball, man. It's not like basketball. It's not like It's not like you're going to guarantee to get your numbers, because a lot of things can change. Baseball is the most difficult sport in the world. You know what I'm saying? It really is. That's why I couldn't even imagine playing fantasy baseball, because you can't predict how these guys are going to play. The only one I can predict is Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, because they're just freaking unreal, and Otani. But it's difficult to judge with these younger players. Pitching is better now across the league, and great. I've always said this: great pitching, no matter how good your hitting is, will 9 times out of 10 beat great hitting. Great pitching tends to beat great hitting a lot of the time. And yeah, I think Rodriguez is struggling to adjust, especially in this analytics era. The analytics guys, they'll focus on the areas in which you have a hole in your swing, where your cold zones, and then they'll just focus on that. And I think maybe that's something that Rodriguez needs to adjust to. But yeah, we don't want to focus overly on him. Let's get to Anthony Volpe. There's a lot of discussion, social media. I'll admit I'm not the biggest fan of him offensively, and I'm not quite sure what his ceiling is. But Rob, you're a lot more patient with him than I am. What are you seeing, and what can he work on?
He just needs consistency in his plate approach, because when he's hot, we've seen it this year. He was hot, then cold. There's no in between with him, because he was just like a week ago. He was having a really good second half, and then he's completely fallen off a cliff again. I don't know what it is. Like when he gets hot and his cold streak starts, it just goes on for a while and it looks bad. And then when he's hot, he looks really good. And that's why I said the other day when Tat said he would pick him over Gunnar Henderson, it's still a crazy statement, that Anthony Volpe's ceiling might just be a hopefully an above or an average to above league, slightly above league average hitter and a plus defender. Is that what we asked for out of a top prospect? Probably not, but is it acceptable? Sure. If you're in
Absolutely.
a if you're an above average or even in a just an average league average bat with a plus glove, you're going to take it cuz shortstop's a very important position. But he's making some mental errors like on the base paths that you're like, "Come on, dude, like we know you're better than that." He's only 23 years old. So I'm not going to give up on him. He's not even finished his second season. He does not suck. He's not having a great year. He hasn't had a massive improvement. Defensively, he's been phenomenal. 2 straight years now, he's in consideration. He won a gold glove last year. Could win one again this year. Probably won't, but he should be in consideration for it. I think you've got the tools there for a solid, at least league average shortstop. But he needs to be more consistent in his approach. I still say that moving him to the leadoff spot was the worst thing they could have done for him. I did
Facts.
not want them to do it. It was too early. I was arguing that for a while. I had a lot of people telling me I was wrong, and it did not seem to help him. His hot streaks look really good. His cold streaks look really bad. He needs to find that in between. When he finds that in between, I think you're going to see a pretty solid hitter. I won't say great. I won't say elite. I won't even say average. But if he needs to be at least average in order for this to be a successful prospect. Because right now the defense is there. It's absolutely there. There's no reason to say, oh, his future's at second base because of a couple of kids in single A. No, we're not saying that yet. She's a great shortstop defensively. Needs to find the consistency with the bat. He's not doing that right now. It seems like whenever he's trying to break out of his slump, he's pressing. He's trying to get that big hit to get him out of it. His swing is constantly changing. He's going from level to uppercut, back to uppercut to level. It's like he's just trying to do too much, and I think he's maybe getting into his own head because he's young. He knows he has to get going because look at them right there. It's all blue except for defense and his
That's
speed.
it.
He needs
That's
to
it.
find the bat. And again, he does not need to be elite with the bat. He just needs to be average. And you've got yourself a fine shortstop for many, many years. But right now, you're not seeing it because his hot streaks don't last very long and his cold streaks do. And that's a problem. But I still think there's plenty of room for him to get better. I just don't know what his ceiling, or I think I know his ceiling is just average, maybe slightly above average.
And that's probably why there's a little bit of I'm trying to find the right word because I think the Yankee fan base are behind him. They absolutely are, but I think they're very frustrated. They're because what I find is that Anthony Volpe has been given the keys to the kingdom, and he's untouchable, right? But they haven't given the same opportunities to other people, like Peraza, for instance. Would Peraza provide much worse than this? Like, because he's a phenomenal fielder as well. And offensively, I don't. I think he's a little better than Volpe offensively. I really do. Um, just looking at this batting, right? I mean, the fact that Volpe doesn't walk at all, he's only an 18th percentile. That kind of worries me. That means he doesn't have great coverage of the strike zone. X slug 10th percentile, barrel percentage 10th percentile. That means he doesn't barrel up in the ball at all. Bat speed 15th percentile. That means he doesn't have any bat speed. That frightens me in terms of long term. Do you know what I'm saying? Uh, XOBA ninth percentile, batting run value -7. Um, when you look at that, I'm wondering where the upside, like significance of the upside, is. So in terms of OPS, he's got a 670 OPS. I think his upside would be at best about 710, 720. What would you say to that?
It's probably fair, and I like Ken's point. You can see Ken saying here, Volpe, rookie year, Gold Glove, 205. This year, defense has gotten better. Average has gone up 50 points. Third year will show you what you need to know. That's absolutely right. You've got a great point about Peraza.
Mm-hmm.
Peraza should have been playing third base for a long time. That's a whole other discussion. But I want to say this. For everybody that's saying this guy sucks or this guy stinks and whatever you want to say about
He
him,
doesn't stink.
right. And I think that's insane to say that about a guy in his second year. What are you going to say? And Jones said the same thing. If Jason Dominguez goes like 0 for his next 20, let's say Dominguez next year hits like 230 and he has an OPS of like 700, are we going to start saying this kid's a bust?
I
Are we
hope
going to
not.
lose our patience? Right? This is what I mean. These because we have a lot of fans out there that are going to say sit Volpe for X player or move Volpe for X prospect in 2 years, and that prospect is Roderick Arias. What happens if they come up and struggle? Because you are the same fans. You are the same fans that are asking to play the kids. Where's Dominguez? Why aren't you call up Dominguez? Why aren't you calling up this guy? Why aren't you calling up that guy? It's better than what we have. Call up Ben Rice. Ben Rice has 100 at bats. You're sick of him. Call up Dominguez. If Dominguez goes 100 at bats and isn't hitting 500, you're going to be sick of him. This is what I don't get. You can't beg for the prospects and then become immediately impatient with them, not even 2 years in. We just talked about J Rod. Ken just brought up a great point. 3 years is really, especially in a game like baseball, you can learn a lot about a player. You're not going to know everything about a player in 2 seasons. And I was so mad when John Smoltz brought up Jeter last night when trying to defend Volpe. Oh, Jeter. Like,
That's
what was
laughable.
that? It was laughable. Stop trying to compare him to Derek Jeter. It's not like Anthony Volpe was coming out of the gate saying, "Oh, I'm the next Jeter. Oh yeah, I got this no matter what. I'm going to be the next homegrown Yankee superstar." These were all labels that were put on him by the media and by fans. Fans were hyping this kid up the way he was. And he didn't meet their own expectations, and now screw him. 23, you didn't have 2 Hall of Fame seasons. You're done. You're toast. This is what I don't get. It's not just me being a pro Volpe guy. I do like Anthony Volpe. I'm wearing his jersey right now, but I'll admit this has not been a good year for him. It has not been a good year for him offensively. Defensively, he's been fantastic. I expected a lot more from him offensively, though. But am I losing patience with him? No. Do I think he should be replaced by somebody else? No, because he's 23 and he has shown you the ability to be at least an average player with the bat. You know the glove is there. He just needs to find it with the bat. Who knows? Year 3, he could be that guy. He could be the league average bat with the plus glove. And you were like, and I saw something last night. One good October can shut up every conversation we're having right now because that's where you make your money. And if he has one good October, hopefully he does, then we're gonna just be like, all right, let's see what you got next year. But I just think it's far too early for this. Is he the right guy? Did they make the right choice? Yeah, he's been giving more opportunities than other players, but that's not his fault. It's the Yankees' fault. We can't
The fact that
blame.
John Smoltz even brought Derek Jeter in the
Yeah, that was
conversation
ridiculous. He should have
is
gotten the L for
absolutely
that.
shameful, and he should have been fired on the spot for that. Because um, for anyone who's not aware, he won Rookie of the Year in 1996, and his OPS was 800, and his OBP was touching 400. His slug was 430. He had a 314 batting average, for Christ's sake, and he had 78 RBIs. He had 183 hits in his rookie year. Anthony Volpe will never touch that. I don't think he's going to touch those numbers his entire career. And see, I really don't. I don't believe there's going to be a season where Anthony Volpe is going to have that year. So to even compare those two is insane. There's a reason why Derek Jeter is one of the greatest, not just Yankees of all time, but baseball players of all time, and that's why he's in the Hall of Fame. Stop using it as a comparison. The only comparison is they both play shortstop. That is the only comparison.
And they both wear the same jersey. That's it.
Yeah. The only comparison is they're both New York Yankees. They're both Yankee fans, and they're both play the same position. Apart from that, there's no competition. Derek Jeter is a better player. Always has been, always will be. Even in his worst year, he'll be better than Anthony Volpe. But that's not to shit on Anthony Volpe. It's just you have to be realistic about it. And I have to give a lot of guys like Pete and stuff credit. He did say, I think, that we need to. He did say a while ago that he is not exactly what the Yankees are painting him to be. He's good, but he's not this stratospheric kind of bat that's going to change things like Gunnar Henderson or Bobby Witt or things like that. He's never going to be that type of guy, but that's okay because we have enough talent in this team. We got Jazz Chisholm, we got Aaron Judge, we got Juan Soto, we got Stanton. You got those guys, and we'll continue to add players along the way to augment this team. So if you have Anthony Volpe, say, giving you a 710, 720 OPS, but with elite defense, then you're not. I'm not going to complain too much. He's just not what Brian Cashman sold us, but that's on him.
Right.
But that's not anything to do with Volpe, and he shouldn't be blamed for that. He's just being himself, and I think that he'll be fine. It's just I think that maybe he's been given more opportunities than, considering what he's produced, he's given more opportunities than he probably deserves when you look at some of the other guys. Like, I still think Peraza has not had the opportunities that Volpe has. Well, it's not even a think that they haven't. And we can absolutely go over the years, dudes that haven't been given the opportunity that deserve
Snyder.
it. Ref Snyder.
Yeah.
So Cashman doesn't help himself with these things.
Right, and
He's
that's
got his
not on
guys, and
Volpe,
that's it.
though. Right?
No, of course, it's nothing to do with
Yeah.
Volpe. No.
It's just that he's been the one that they've given the run to every single game, except for like the other day when they didn't play him, which I was shocked by. That's the only time like they actually sat him for a day. But no other prospect's been given. Not even Dominguez has been given that, and he's been up for 4 days. He has already been sat. So I think that's what gets people angry. It's like, why are you playing him and not every other prospect you call up? I get that, but to put that on Volpe is ridiculous. It's not fair to the player because now, guess what? Every prospect, at least in terms of some Yankee fans, some lunatics out there that think every single prospect has that immediate gratification. Well, I once again bring you to J-Rod. What if Anthony Volpe had the 2 years that J-Rod did, and then next year he struggled? Or what if his 3rd year was a rough season? Would you be saying, but it's okay? No, it's okay. It's okay. He had 2 really good seasons. You'd be talking about the right now. What are you doing for me right now? You'd be saying maybe we were a little too excited about him. It was only 2 seasons. So you got to be patient. And I say that not just because I'm a pro Volpe guy or because I cheer for the guy in the jersey. I cheer for the team. I'm going to say that. I say that about every single prospect. I would have said the same thing had they chosen Peraza. I'm going to say the same thing about Dominguez. I said the same thing about Austin Wells. I said the same thing about Luis Gil 3 years ago when they first called him up. And you were there with me, Donald. We were saying these things. Patience is key because you never know in this game what a prospect is going to be. They could come out and be Gunnar Henderson. They can come out and be Keigawa, even though he wasn't necessarily a rookie, but you just never know. And you have to be patient because they are prospects and you just don't know how they're going to go from one level to the next. 2 years does not tell you the entire Severino. Thank you, Sean. Look at what he did his first couple of years, injuries, and now he's pitching great for the Mets. So you just never know. You have to be patient, especially early on. That's a good point, Sunil, as well. Judge in 2016, the way he was looking. If you would have told me after 2016 that Aaron Judge would have been the player he is now, you'd probably been like, I don't know. Look at Gary Sanchez. He's the perfect example.
Gleyber Torres.
Look at Gleyber Torres. Exactly. We have the guys to prove our points here on this team. You just never know. You have to give it time. Volpe's going to be here for a long time, whether people like it or not.
That's it. I mean, I think if you asked me, like, say, 3, 4 years ago, would Torres be, if not the best player on this team, he'd be the second best player on the team? I'd say absolutely. Because what did Brian Cashman say? I have to live here. There's no way I'm trading Gleyber Torres. And now people, even a couple of years ago, were campaigning to trade Gleyber Torres because that's what I'm saying. Man, baseball's different. It's not like football. It's not your stats aren't basically guaranteed as long as you're healthy. Baseball's different. It changes. Changes annually. It can change. So when Anthony Volpe had this hot streak at the start of the year, people were like, extend him now. Give him a 10-year extension right now. I'm like, slow down. Slow down. Because we don't want to be too high and we don't want to be too low. And that's what it's important to preach here. I think we were too high on him at the start, and we're almost too low on him now. There is a middle ground. I think that right now he's still finding his feet. The only thing that's consistent right now is his defense. His bat isn't there. There's a couple things to worry about. His slug is worse than it was last year, I believe. So there's some aspects that's down from last year, but his batting average has increased, and that's a good thing. And his defense is even better. So there's that. And in general, he hasn't hurt us that much. I think you look at his WAR. I mean, he's still above average in that regard. He's still
last night he hurt us.
But he hurt us last night, and that's it. I mean, he's not. He's got a long way to go, and I'm not his biggest fan, but Rob's higher on him than I am. But I think he's going to be fine. I'll give you that. I think Dominguez, now he's legit. And that's why I'm not worried. But even if he gives you a 150 batting average the rest of September, I'm not worried. I don't care. Because this guy's legit. I know that. That's a fact. He is legit. And he's going to ball. I think he's going to ball fairly soon. That I'm very confident about.
Yeah, I agree. And I did see a comment way earlier from Charles Wright. I'm sorry if I can't find it, but I don't think I've seen him in the chat before. So if I'm wrong, if you've been here before, I'm sorry, but welcome. He said, did Boston burn their bullpen last night? I certainly hope so. They did have a couple of guys that got them like one out, but I hope they did. I pray they did because I want to beat them. I want to take them out of this race for good, and I want to keep getting W. So if they did burn out their bullpen, good.
I quite like their bullpen. One of the bullpen arms won a World Series with the Braves a couple of years ago. Like they're pretty good. Let's have a look and see how many arms that they burned through just briefly.
They used Boozer.
Oh shit! They actually did.
Yeah, they used a lot, but a lot of them pitched. 3 of them pitched one inning. When Kowski, whatever, he gave up the walk off, but he only threw 5 pitches. Some of their guys threw 2, 15. Like I don't know if they burnt it out, but they did use a good chunk of it.
They certainly did. 6 guys. Boozer, Zach Kelly, Justin Slayton, Chris Martin, Kenley Jansen, Wisnocki. I do like Chris Martin. He's pretty good, but he's 38. But I believe he was the guy that won a World Series with the Braves at the top of my head. Yes, he did, 2021. Then he went to the Cubs, Dodgers. He's been around. He's pretty good. They've got a decent bullpen. I think their bullpen's starting to emerge. So what's the matchup for tonight? The Apple game.
The Apple TV game. It is going to be Tanner Houck versus Clark Schmidt. Schmidt's second start since coming back from the IL, and Tanner Houck, who's having himself a
Schmitty!
really good season. He's 8-10, but a 3.24 ERA. 150 punch outs for him. He's tough. So we're going to need Clark Schmidt to kind of match him because Houck usually does a pretty good job against us.
I assume the lineups haven't been announced yet.
No, it's probably way too early. This is a 7 o'clock game.
Yeah.
Although, let's guess something here. Do we see Jason Dominguez tonight, or do they give him another bench day?
Are we facing a lefty?
Tanner Houck is a right-hander, I believe.
Then I think Dominguez will play because they're. I think the reason why they sat Dominguez was because it was a lefty, and apparently he doesn't have great numbers against lefties.
I hate that though, because
I
they said
hate
the
that
same
too.
thing about Austin Wells, and they didn't play him against lefties because I keep saying it. Throw that goddamn lefty-righty matchup out the window. Because what has Verdugo
Please.
done against lefties to justify the playing time?
Nothing.
Thank you.
What's he done in general? Nothing. He's not done anything since May. So it's so stupid. You can't hope they don't start platooning Dominguez, please God, because the only way he's going to learn is to face lefties. That's
Yep,
it.
exactly.
That's it. So we will close it off on that note. It's been a fun show. Good to once again break things down with my boy Rob, and a great day again in the chat. Chat was really active. A lot of really good points from everyone in the chat. So once again, I like to hit the like button, and I wish everyone a really great weekend. Have a great weekend, everybody. We will be there for Monday, and I'll tell you what, I'm starting to think about maybe doing a play-by-play this weekend. That could be fun. It's in the top of my mind. If there's anyone in the chat who would like us to do a game, we'll be happy to consider it because it could be kind of fun. Anyhow, let's close it off. Rob, give me your final thoughts.
Go get a W. Beat the Red Sox. Take them out for good. End their misery because I can't stand them. So let's keep getting some W's. Whichever way we get them. Let's go Yanks.
Fuck Boston. See you guys next time.